His short story, The Refugee, opens the eyes of readers to the injustice done to an old sick lady by the partition between India and Pakistan. She never hated any of her Muslim neighbors, even there was communal hostility between Hindus and Muslims. This is the true nature of Manji. But the dirty politics that happened in 1947, that created India and Pakistan, the Britishers carefully divided India in the name of religion, Hindus and Muslims. Hello students, I am Anil, Assistant Professor of English, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. In this session, we are going to look at a short story titled The Refugee for the students of BBA first semester. Before we get into the story of The Refugee, let us look at the author. So about the author, K.A. Abbas is the author of this short story, The Refugee. Khwaja Ahmad Abbas, widely known as K.A. Abbas, was an influential Indian writer, journalist and filmmaker born in 1914. Known for his socially conscious work, Abbas focused on the struggles of marginalized communities and individuals in his writings, often advocating for social justice, equality and human rights. His work reflects his progressive ideals shaped by socio-political turmoil of pre- and post-independence India. So you have to remember this concept in order to understand the story Refugee. Abbas wrote in both Urdu and English and excelled in various literary forms, including short stories, novels, and screenplays. His journalism, particularly his column Last Page in Blitz, addressed issues like poverty, communalism, political corruption, resonating with readers over decades. Abbas also worked closely with Hindi cinema and was a key figure in the Indian film industry, often collaborating with directors like Raj Kapoor. His works like Inqilab and The World is My Village depict deep empathy for the common man. The Refugee, one of his most well-known short stories, reflects his sensitivity towards themes of displacement and human resilience, capturing the trauma of partition while emphasizing universal human emotions. So this is about the author K.A. Abbas. In this story, The Refugee, he tells us a heart-touching story. Let us see what the story is. His short story, The Refugee, opens the eyes of readers to the injustice done to an old sick lady by the partition between India and Pakistan. Here you have to understand the injustice done by the partition of India and Pakistan. Before we understand this story, we should know what happened in 1947. In 1947, the world saw the rise of two nations, India and Pakistan. So when India and Pakistan was created, it was created out of the religious background. The Pakistan was completely into Islamic religion, but India, it retained its secular identity. But what happened? Fearing the dangers to the life and property of people themselves, they changed their places. Many people from Pakistan came to India and many people from India went to Pakistan. While this was happening, there people started hating each other for a wrong political decision. So this story tells us that how a human life is destroyed, but still that human being comes up with all the energy, but that personality does not have any hatred towards the issue, but has all the hope for life. So let us see the story. Manji is the character here. She was Sardarji's wife. She lived in peace at Rawalpindi, which is in Pakistan, before partition. Their house was very spacious. She had a small piece of land and a buffalo. So, a village setup. The buffalo yielded her 10 seers of milk every day. She shared the buttermilk with her Muslim neighbors. The rent from the tenants and the cultivation made her to live a peaceful life. So before partition, Manji's life was so simple and peaceful. She had a beautiful and she had a friendly relationship with all her neighbors. She was very cordial with everybody and she was being respected by her neighbors as well. She was a rich lady. Her son worked in Bombay. She felt sorry for the son at there who could earn a lot of money but not able to get pure milk or ghee and various types of fruits. So here we get to know that Manji's son, he used to work in Bombay. Before he worked in Bombay, he was in Calcutta, then he went to Delhi, then finally he was working in Bombay. So when he was working there, he was earning money, but that was not the issue for Manji. Whenever Manji thinks of her son, she thinks that that man does not get anything that she is getting in her place. Not even pure milk, pure ghee, or the fruits which were available in Rawalpindi. So she was into this social setup, a village social setup. Now what happened? There was this partition news that appeared in the newspaper. So when this appeared, Manji thought that it was just like a fever to human brain. And she did not mind and she thought that it would go away. But what happened to her disappointment was this: the hatred that people had for each other. All the Muslims who migrated from India to the Pakistan region, they came with hatred and revenge, a sense of revenge for the other community. So they came, they settled down somewhere near Rawalpindi. And Manji was very affectionate. She understood their plight. She provided all that she could. But what happened? The neighbors of Manji, they told her, Manji, please, you also go back to the Indian side of the partition so that you would remain safe. But Manji thought that she had lived all over her life in Rawalpindi and she did not want to go anywhere. And she thought that all the Muslim neighbors who were there as her own sons, her own children. But something happened which disturbed Manji so much that she decided that this hatred, fever of hatred, was beyond cure. That incident was this. A Tongawala and his innocent horse were killed in front of Manji's house at Rawalpindi in the communal riots that took place between Hindus and Muslims. So that happened in 1947. She was really hurt with this. This heinous crime drove Manji from Rawalpindi to Bombay. So now she thought that this was not the safest place to live. Then she said, I'm going to leave. Then she left from Rawalpindi to Bombay. In Bombay, Manji and her husband lived in a small rented house with their son. So she had a mansion in Rawalpindi, but when she came as a refugee to India, she stayed in Bombay with her husband and son, but in a small rented room. The house was very small with a single room. That room served them as a main hall, kitchen room, bathroom, and a storeroom. Everything was that single room. But in Rawalpindi, she had a maid servant and a male servant to look after the house. She had a big house, two-storied house, and she had rented the shops to her Muslim neighbors. They treated her like mother. But in the act of partition, all these things were gone. Now she is a poor lady. She is a refugee in India. At Rawalpindi, she had a few servants to do her household work. Now she does all sorts of work in the house at Bombay. She kept her house very neatly. So before Manji came to Bombay, her son's room was not tidy. But when Manji came, it was very neat. Occasionally, she sent letters to her Muslim neighbors at Rawalpindi. Look at her human side. She used to be in touch with the fellow people in Rawalpindi. She wrote letters to Rawalpindi, and she recalls that there was a tailor during this communal riot, and that man protected Manji and her husband's life day and night. They also sent letters to Manji. Reading on them, she was moved to tears. So when she wrote letters, she always got the reply. People at Rawalpindi, they also loved Manji. They had a very cordial relationship. She never hated any of her Muslim neighbors. Even there was communal hostility between Hindus and Muslims. This is the true nature of Manji. Manji did not hate anybody. She understood the situation and thought that that was not to hate each other. The old memories were very sweet to her and she wept on the past happy incidents with them. She recalled everybody, particularly the tailor who protected her and her husband's life, keeping watch day and night when there was this communal riot. K. Abbas has portrayed the scenario of communal riots and an old woman affected by it. Now, realizing this story, and Manji also thought that she would go back to Rawalpindi, but then she understood that she can never go back to Rawalpindi. She became a refugee in India, and the story ends while she was recalling her happy days, and then she wept for what happened to India. Manji is an epitome of motherhood and a good-natured woman. This is what we have to understand. She is the epitome of motherhood. She was a mother to all, including her own son. And she is a good-natured woman. She never hated anybody for that incident. Her Muslim neighbors are also good in nature. They also treated her like their mother. This is what we require. We have to trust each other. We have to love each other. We have to respect each other. And Manji had everything. Her neighbors were also good people. They also remembered Manji. They occasionally wrote letters to each other to check on whether they are well. But the dirty politics that happened in 1947, that created India and Pakistan, the Britishers carefully divided India in the name of religion, Hindus and Muslims. They put the poison in our minds. And we divided ourselves in the name of religion, saying Hindus and Muslims. And this dirty politics and inefficient governments have made an irreparable gap between the lives of those people. If you see the Indian map, if this is India, there is Pakistan in both, there is Punjab for both sides of this border. Pakistan Punjab and Indian Punjab. People from here migrated to Pakistan and people from there migrated to India. They left behind whatever they had, their good friends, their long joined family, then their property, their emotions. They left everything and they just came as refugees to both the sides. And here K. Abbas gives the picture of Manji, who left everything in Rawalpindi and came to Mumbai and settled down. But she did not lose her human nature. She was very motherly in treating everybody. She was good with everything and she never repented or she never thought of those bad days. She always recalled the good old days she had in Rawalpindi. So this is the story. You have to remember this, the dirty politics and inefficient governments have made an irreparable gap between the lives of those people. Here, Manji plays the role of a good-natured human being. She tells, she recalls, she remembers everything that was good for her and she never hated or she never complained about any human being. And now she is leading a happy life in Bombay. Sometimes when she recalls the memories of Rawalpindi, her eyes become wet. She gets into those old days and she remembers everybody who were good for her. And this is the story of the refuge. With this, we shall meet in the next class. Thank you.